everybody, welcome to Stonx Music. My name's Ollie and today we're going to be having a look at Looper in this deep dive session. Let's go! Right, so here we are back in the Ableton Manual. Let's jump straight into it. Looper is an audio effect based on classic real-time looping devices. It allows you to record and loop audio, creating endless overdubs that are synced to your set. If the set is not playing, Looper can analyze incoming audio and set Live's tempo to match it. You can also predefine a loop length before recording, and Live's tempo will adjust so that your loop fits into the specified number of bars. Furthermore, audio can be imported to Looper to create a background for newly overdubbed material or exported from Looper as a new clip. The top half of Looper's interface is a large display area optimized for easy readability during performance. During recording, the entire display area turns red. After recording, the display shows the current position in the loop and the total loop length in bars and beats. Looper's transport buttons work in a similar way to other transport controls in Live. The record button records incoming audio until another button is pressed. This overwrites any audio currently stored in Looper. Overdub continues to add additional layers of incoming audio that are the length of the originally recorded material. The play button plays back the current state of Looper's buffer without recording any new material. The stop button stops playback. The behaviour of the transport controls changes depending on whether or not Live's playback is running. With the transport running, Looper behaves like a clip and is subject to launch quantization as determined by the quantization chooser C4.11. When Live's playback is stopped, Looper's transport engages immediately, regardless of the quantization settings. The clear button erases Looper's buffer. If you press clear in overdub mode while the transport is running, the contents of the buffer are cleared, but the tempo and length are maintained. Pressing clear in any other mode resets the tempo and length. The undo button erases everything that you've overdubbed since the last time overdub was enabled. Your original recording and anything that was overdubbed in a previous pass is preserved. After pressing undo, the button changes to redo, which replaces the material removed by the last undo. The large button below the transport control is the multi-purpose transport button. As with the normal transport buttons, this button's behaviour changes depending on Looper's current playback state, and whether or not material has already been recorded. If the buffer is empty, a single click starts recording. If Looper is recording, overdubbing or stopped, a single click switches to play mode. During playback, one click switches to overdub mode, allowing you to toggle back and forth between overdub and playback via additional single clicks. Quickly pressing the button twice stops Looper from either playback or overdub mode. Clicking and holding the button for 2 seconds while in play mode activates undo or redo. Pressing and holding for 2 seconds while stopped clears Looper's buffer. And then we have a nice little diagram here just to kind of show what's going on. So we've got single click, double click and hold. So if we're empty, single click will record, single click again will play, single click again will overdub, and then play, and then overdub, and then play. So depending where you are here, you need a double click to get out of it. So we can double click when we're in overdub mode, and that will stop it. We can double click when we're in play mode, and that will stop it. Or if we hold when in play mode, it'll undo or redo our last overdub. Then once we've stopped, we can single click again to play, or hold to clear, and we'll be empty again. Looper's multi-purpose transport button is optimized for use with a MIDI foot switch. To assign a foot switch, enter MIDI map mode, C27.21, click the button and then press your attached foot switch. Then exit MIDI map mode. The tempo control chooser affects how Looper determines the tempo of recorded material. None. Looper's internal tempo is independent of Live's global tempo. Follow song tempo. The speed of Looper's playback will be adjusted so that the recorded material plays back at Live's global tempo. Set and follow song tempo. Live's global tempo will be adjusted to match the tempo of material recorded into Looper. Any subsequent changes to Live's global tempo will adjust the speed of Looper's playback so that the recorded material plays back at the new global tempo. The record length chooser is used to set the length of recorded material. Its behaviour changes dependent on whether or not Live's global transport is running and depending on the setting of the tempo control chooser. You can set Live's global tempo. Song running. If Looper's record length chooser is set to the default X bars, Looper will record until you press another button. If you specify a fixed number of bars to record by selecting another option in the chooser, Looper will record for a specified time and then switch to play or overdub as determined by the button next to this chooser. Song not running. If Looper's record length chooser is set to the default X bars, Looper will make a guess about the tempo of the material you've recorded as soon as you press overdub, play or stop. This might result in a tempo that is twice or half as fast as you'd like. If you first specify a fixed number of bars, Looper's tempo will adjust so that your recording fits into this time. The song control chooser determines how Looper's transport controls will affect Live's global transport. None means that Looper's transport control have no effect on Live's global transport. Start song will start Live's global transport whenever Looper enters play or overdub mode. Looper's stop button has no effect on the global transport. Start and stop. Song locks Live's global transport to Looper's transport controls. Entering play or overdub mode will start Live's transport, while pressing Looper's stop button will stop Live's transport. Starting playback of Live's transport via Looper will automatically adjust the playback position of any apps that are connected via Ableton Link. This ensures that those apps remain tempo synced and also at the correct position in the musical phrase. The divided by or times by 2 buttons double the length of Looper's recorded buffer. Any material you've already recorded will simply be duplicated. This allows you to, for example, record a series of 1-bar ideas and then overlay a series of 2-bar ideas. The length and tempo of Looper's buffer is shown in the display area. Similarly, the divide by 2 button cuts the length of the current buffer in half. The material in the currently playing half is kept while the other half is discarded. The Drag Me area in the display allows you to export Looper's buffer as a new audio file. You can drag and drop to the browser or directly to a track, creating a new clip. The newly created clip's warp mode will be set to repitch by default. You can also drag audio files into the Drag Me area, which will replace the contents of Looper's buffer. You can then use this material as a bed for further overdubs, for example. The speed knob adjusts Looper's playback speed and thus pitch. The up and down arrow buttons to the left are shortcuts to raise or lower the pitch by octave, thus doubling or halving the playback speed. These buttons are subject to the quantization chooser settings. Enabling the reverse button plays the previously recorded material backwards. Any material that you overdub after enabling reverse will be played forward. Note that disabling reverse will then swap this behaviour. The original material will play forward again, while the material that was overdubbed while reverse was enabled will play backwards. Engaging the reverse button is subject to the quantization chooser setting. Feedback sets the amount of previously recorded signal that is fed back into Looper when overdubbing. When set to 100%, the previously recorded material will never decrease in volume. When set to 50%, it will be half as loud with each repetition. Any changes to the feedback amount won't take effect until the next repetition. Note that feedback has no effect in play mode, each repetition will be at the same volume. The input-output chooser provides 4 options for monitoring Looper's input. Always allows the input signal to be heard regardless of Looper's playing or recording state. You'll typically want to choose always when using Looper as an effect in a single track. Never means the input signal will never be heard. You'll typically want to choose never when using Looper as an effect in a return track, where it may be fed by send levels from a variety of other tracks. Record/OVR means that the input is only audible when recording or overdubbing, not when Looper is in play mode or stopped. This is useful for situations where you are feeding audio to multiple tracks, each containing its own looper. If each of these loopers is controlled with its own foot pedal, you can switch the recording and playback state while playing an instrument, without having to worry about monitor settings. Record OVR stop allows the input signal to be heard except when Looper is in play mode. This is similar to beat repeat's insert mode and can be used to record material that can suddenly interrupt your live playing. Feedback routing. Looper can be used as both a source and a target for internal routing other tracks. This allows you to, for example, create Looper overdubs that continuously feed back through another track's device. To set this up, insert Looper on a track, record at least one pass of material into Looper, create another audio track. In the new track's top audio from and audio to choosers, select the track containing the looper. In the new track's bottom audio from and to choosers, select Insert Looper. Switch this track's monitoring to in, add additional effects devices to the device chain of the new track, put Looper into overdub mode. Looper's output will now be routed through another track's device chain and then back into itself, creating increasingly processed overdub layers with each pass. Cool, so that's the Looper effect. Let's jump into Ableton and see what we can do with it. Right, so here we are back in Ableton. I've got my trusty bass guitar with me today. So let's have a look at Looper. I was having a little mess around before I started recording, and I came up with this little bit here. Let's have a listen. It's just a little 8-bar loop, and that started off with this here. Let's have a quick listen to this. So I just dragged that in to give me the beginning of our looper. Let's come over here to audio 2, which is just a new audio. Let's just start again anyway. New audio track, delete this one. So external in is set to 1 at the moment, which is my microphone. So let's set that to 2. And if we press in, we should be able to hear the bass now. There we go. So I'm going to grab my tuner just to check we're in tune. Just good practice, right? Close enough for jazz. And then we're going to grab our looper. There we go. So we can see at the moment we've got no BPM set. Record is set to X bars and then overdub. We've got our feedback here. This is the drag me section where we can drag in one of these beats. But to start off with, I'm going to set this to 4 bars and then play, right? So I shouldn't have to press anything. I'm going to press record and then it will just start playing. We can hit play again to overdub. So firstly, I have no MIDI pedal down here, so I'm just going to be using my mouse. So I'll hover my mouse over the record button and hopefully everything will be okay. So we've got our tempo set up here. I'm going to hit the metronome. I'm going to press play. So I've got my metronome to play to. And then when I hit record, it's going to start recording. So that second wasn't very good, was it? Let's half it. Now we've just got that first one. And we can times 2 again. So now just going to repeat that 4 times. So now when I hit this button, it's going to take us into overdub mode. So what do we want to do? Do you want to try and add some hi-hats in? Do you want to play some bass? Let's just have a mess around. So now it's not recording. We can have a play and see what we want to do, right? Right, I like that, so I'm going to hit this overdub button. Now, obviously with a foot switch this would be much easier. I'm going to have to be quick. I'm going to try and do it at the end where I wouldn't be playing anything, and we'll try and get into it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's times 2. Now we've got an 8-bar loop. And instead of playing that same bass on top, let's grab a phaser in there. Grab one of the presets because it's just going to be easier. Phasing confused. And let's grab an amp for a bit of distortion. Too much buzz in that, isn't there? Grab this one. So we did all that down there. Let's get something in the higher registers. Something like that. Let's get the pick. Different texture. Oh, I pressed the wrong note. Undo. Let's try again. again. Back in there. Let's try again. By 2, so now I've just got this section looping. Times by 2, so I've got it longer again. Just get a flanger on there too. So let's hover over our overdub and give it another go. So we've got a cool little loop there. That's kind of fun, nice to play with. Let's drag it out over here. Bam. And there we go. We've got a little loop. If you wanted to start a track with that, or however you wanted to do it, if you were using this in a live context, I mean, you could then, you know, have another looper, have another channel, grab another instrument, start laying some other stuff on top. So that's a good few overdubs. Let's have a listen to it now up here on its own channel. And then you could do all your normal Ableton stuff from there. You could warp it, you could change the tempo, you could cut bits up, whatever it is you want to do. So that's a lot of fun. And you saw halfway through, I played a couple of wrong notes, hit that undo button, and away we go. Start again. So let's hit clear, and we've lost that now. That's completely gone. And let's go into our samples. Let me come down to my stuff so I know I can use it. What we got here? Broken font. So these are all 172. It's going to be a bit mad to play with. So let's grab this one, cheesy halftime, because then at least it's halftime. And we can drag that into our looper. I'm going to move this up here, off that channel, turn this looper back on, and let's have a listen now to what we got. So what do we want to do with that? Well, that's kind of like a ploddy thing. Let's grab our amp on. Instead of screamer, let's go blues, treble down a bit, goopy thing. What we got here? So I don't know, let's have a little play, have a little listen. So I pressed play up there, which was the wrong thing to do. Let's come back here and hit our play. Oh, that's kind of cool. Let's go to some different key. So straight away I'm going to need that twice the length, right? And get ready with our overdub. I'll wait till the end so we can start from the beginning. And here we go. It's kind of fun. Come up with some different effects, see what we can get. Like a redux on there. It's a little bit weird. So if you wanted to keep it looping we can, but we're not in a live situation, so let's just have a mess around and see what we want. I didn't really like that redux. Let's have a look at something else. Let's go maybe a nice big echo, right? Our delay or our echo. Here we go, and then let's grab a resonator. Do something a little bit crazy before the echo, so we should be able to get some nice up to like 98. Where are we? Something might be fun like that, so let's have a little play. Go to here. The heck happened there? Delay. Let's just grab something crazy. Where's the old tubby? Let's turn this dry wet down. So let's just pause that. That's a nice little groove. Let's drag it out up there. So pretty much without using it in a live context, which I don't really do because I don't have my foot switch or anything, it's a great way just to come up with a few ideas that would otherwise be you recording up here, setting a loop marker, and Control Shift M, Control L, there we go. Setting a loop marker, recording, stopping. So it's quite a nice way just to build up these effects and do something fun with it. So yeah, if you use Looper in a live context and do some more of the complicated stuff with the return tracks, I'd be really interested. Let me know down below if you can use Looper just instead, if you could use it fully live. I'd be really interested to see some people doing that. Alright everyone, that'll do it for this episode of Deep Dive. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about Looper. As always, project files are down there in the description. Don't forget to leave us a subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff, and I will catch up with you guys next time. Bye!